And welcome to the Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. I am Ben, joined by Thaddeus.
Hello.
And joined by Glenn.
Good to be here.
Nice. Thank you for joining us this week.
Absolutely.
Special guest host.
My pleasure.
Yay, Glenn.
Good times.
Everybody loves Glenn. If you don't, call us right now and tell us. I bet we get no phone calls that anybody hates Glenn.
And the switchboard is exploding.
Oh, no.
I'm just so hateable.
That's a good segue, by the way. That's area code 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190. You'll be able to call in and talk to our nice producer, which is Corey this week. Hey, Corey.
Hey,
Hi, Corey.
Excellent. All right.
He's waving to all you fans out there in Radioland.
Right.
Look in your radio, see if you can see him waving.
If you can, then I'd like to know more.
Yeah,
I want to know where you got that radio.
That's a really awesome radio. Now, I'd also like to point out that we are broadcasting on iHeart Radio as well, which, of course, is across, coast to coast, pretty much, across the country.
Is.
Nationwide.
That's
Until
right. So,
you cross that invisible border into places like Mexico or Canada, and then you have some
it
issues.
gets a little iffy there. That's fine. That's if you can't hear us on the 1190 signal.
Yeah,
That little signal that
in
could.
Saskatoon. Yeah.
Or Denton or
Oh, you
quiet,
can hear it
you.
in Denton. Come on. All right.
Talking
That's right, we're
about
on the day
local
transmitter.
places.
You can also go to thenerdshowonline.com. You've got info on us, the nerds. We post podcasts of previous shows. So a few hours after this show is concluded, it will be up as well. And if you like what you hear and you want to find out more about advertising with us, you can check out that page. You can check out Facebook and Twitter links. There's also a listen live button in case you want to listen on iHeartRadio.
We have all forms of communication at the ready.
And, of course, our YouTube channel. We also have that as well. But
The visual and the audio.
The visual and the audio.
We control it all.
Multiple ways of contacting you. It's great. Now let's go ahead and get to some nerd news. I believe we have box office numbers.
Yes, we do. Interestingly enough, opening at number 1 this week is Ted.
Hey, we've seen that.
Yes, we have.
I believe it happened exclusively on our positive review of this
That's
film.
right. Everyone,
I know.
Everyone heard about it and ran to go see it.
Indeed.
Everyone just went in droves.
Thunder Buddies for life, right, Glenn?
That's right. I'd say more, but the movie's rated R for a reason.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Good film though, and deserving of this number 1 spot. They opened at $54.1 million. Universal did market it pretty heavily, but I think they're really banking on the popularity of Seth MacFarlane, which obviously served them extremely well.
Yeah. That's a solid number. Do you know what their budget was overall? Probably not. I would put that somewhere in the neighborhood of 50-ish or so.
It's estimated 50.
Wow.
So great job for them, yeah.
Break even on opening weekend, which
Not
means
too bad.
Which means they are going to make tons of money.
Yes. And it's a solid film overall. There's a lot of fun moments. If you haven't seen it yet, if you like Seth MacFarlane, please go see it.
Yep.
You'll enjoy it.
If you don't, you weren't planning on seeing this movie anyway, so it probably doesn't matter. If you love him, then you're already
you probably already saw
have
it.
already seen it.
Go see it again.
Or planning to see it. If you're on the fence, though, if you like ridiculous comedy and his antics, you'll like this film.
And some nice cameos in there as well.
What is it usually on Family Guy that I see on broadcast television? Not suitable for children under 14. I think that would be very.
It's a hard R.
Yeah.
It's a hard R.
I would say suitable for 14 is probably
not for nudity.
No, well, and the thing is, I mean, yes, it's rated R, but it's not for nudity. It's not for graphic violence.
Well,
there's a lot of bad language, but overall, I mean. I don't want to say it's tame.
If you think your kids under 14 have not heard most of the language in this film, you are sorely mistaken.
Especially if they're in public schools.
I was just going to say, specifically if they attend any public institutions in this or any other state in this country.
Or in the world, really, for that matter. Who are we kidding?
Now, of course, a rated R rating, it's 17. You have to show your ID.
Correct.
Or
be
over
accompanied
17
by a parent.
Number of people who actually check that in most theaters these days, unless you're really young, very few.
Yeah. Well, they're very diligent, I'm sure. Of course.
Who knows? It hasn't been a problem for me because I'm an old man.
That's right. Well,
and
you get to that past 25 mark, and you're like,
you might get the if you go by alcohol at that age, you might get the look
at 25.
Yeah, they kind of size you up, and then whatever.
Hey, I get carded.
I don't recommend that if there are any TABC people listening.
I get carded.
Well, good for you.
Isn't that weird?
It's it's the law, so not really, but
okay.
Or I guess it's not entirely. Like, it's not the law that you have to card everybody all the time. But most places, I should say, it's a common practice. For those of you who don't know, it's a common practice to card people who appear to be under 30 years of age, and I guess that's what you're going at since you just turned 30.
Congratulations.
Recently. Yeah, thanks everyone.
And that's okay.
You look so happy.
You look less than 30, and that's good.
Well, I shaved off the beard. I have a goatee now.
You have a youthful glow about you.
I'd look even younger if I shaved off the goatee.
It's true.
So back to box office, by the way, sad news. The Avengers finally dropped out of the top 10.
No!
And they only made $606 million domestically.
That's terrible.
How are they ever going to make it up?
I don't know. They're on suicide
so
watch.
Are they on number 11 right now?
They actually are number 11, yes.
How many weeks of release?
Oh, my gosh.
16?
Is it around 16?
See, I have week 9.
9. I was way off.
You like doubled it nearly. Yeah.
Because in my head, $1 billion equals a long time to get there.
And you
apparently not if you're the Avengers.
And you know what the biggest disappointment one is? Rock of Ages already out of the top 10 in week number 3.
Wow. So that's we were talking about that though. We did not expect that to be to go nearly as well as apparently all of the producers and the marketing department expected
they've grossed
it to go.
34.9 of an estimated $75 million budget.
Oh, they'll get that back on
they will
DVD
eventually.
But oh man, that's got to hurt somebody's ego and possibly somebody's job somewhere along the way.
Probably.
Or jobs. Oh, well. But what was Ted opening up against? Because it doesn't surprise me because of Seth MacFarlane. But again, I feel this was probably an arguably weak weekend.
It was. I mean, you had Magic Mike, Matthew McConaughey dancing semi-nude,
and Channing Tatum, who is the bigger star in the film. Or I guess it's a Channing Tatum vehicle. That being said, Channing Tatum wrote it, which I find personally as a film guy. I find that very interesting, and somebody was telling me that, I guess we can all go to IMDb and look it up, Steven Soderbergh is directing the film, which blows my mind. Like, I didn't pay attention to it, and then I was having that conversation and went, what? Blows my mind. But, I mean, so now I have to, I'm not sure if I'll actually see it in the theaters, but now I have to watch this movie because...
Just at least for sheer curiosity's sake.
And I respect Channing Tatum... the choices he's been making as of late in his career, I find them to be very interesting. I really enjoyed 21 Jump Street and his sense of comedic timing. So the fact that he wrote essentially his own starring role vehicle.
Well, no, it was according to IMDb, it's Reed Carolyn is the one that wrote the screenplay.
Channing Tatum has no writing credit?
Doesn't look like it.
But yes, Soderbergh did direct it. So you got that one.
That's crazy talk.
But yeah, aside from that, I mean, Ted didn't really open up against a whole lot else. You got another Tyler Perry film.
Oh, boy.
People Like Us.
That's supposed to be
nothing else I really recognize.
That's supposed to be good, but again, it's kind of sleeper, not heavily promoted.
Right. And of course, you got Brave as well. Brave is number 3?
Brave is number 3. This is in their second week.
What's the top 10 rundown real quick?
We've got Ted, Magic Mike, Brave, Tyler Perry's Medea's Witness Protection.
Tyler Perry, 12.
Right.
Sure.
Good.
Madagascar 3, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter at number 6.
Nice.
Number 7, Prometheus. 8, Moonrise Kingdom. 9, Snow White and the Huntsman. And 10, People Like Us. And Hunger Games is still holding on there at like number 18.
Wow.
They've grossed a nice $403 million.
Nice. Good for them. I like that film. I look forward to the next series. I was going to say, movie-related, Moonrise Kingdom hanging in there in the top 10. That's kind of if you're a Wes Anderson fan, you've probably seen it or plan on seeing it. If you're not familiar with it, Wes Anderson's the guy who made Royal Tenenbaums, Rushmore,
right.
Those wonderful films. Go check it out. It's really good. It does some really interesting things. It's very Wes Anderson, and Roman Coppola too. Roman Coppola, of course, being Francis Ford's son,
right?
And they got together to write the Darjeeling Limited. And so this is them teaming up again to write another one. So Moonrise Kingdom, very charming. Check it out if you haven't yet. I recommend it.
Cool.
And if you've seen anything, let us know on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep. Facebook.com, keyword The Nerd Show, or at The Nerd Show on Twitter. All right, next up, we will be hearing from Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, and Marc Webb about the new Spider-Man coming out. It's going to be this week, this Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Woo!
So we'll talk to them next. Coming up on The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM.
You're listening to The Nerd Show on 1190 AM.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size.
Oh,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I'm very excited. We've had this discussion before. I'm very excited about the new Spider-Man movie coming out.
Are they going to use this theme in the movie?
I don't think so.
Because that would probably not be a good
Probably
idea.
not. I doubt they'd even have it on the end of the film. Like
They
did the
probably
other
don't even have the rights to it.
one. No. That's sad. But it's a catchy little theme.
Maybe.
If
I
they
think
don't,
they'd
they
use
could
it.
certainly get it.
Yes. It would not be difficult.
No.
I'm very excited. I really like Andrew Garfield as an actor. Again, as I've mentioned before, there's an older film called Boy A, and he has a fantastic performance in it. If you want to catch up on his career, he's been working with some brilliant directors on some brilliant films. Many of them a little bit closer into the art house realm, so there's a lot of people haven't really heard of him as much. But he is a very brilliant and capable actor. I look forward to seeing what he does with the Spider-Man. The previews and the commercials, everything that I've heard seems really great. Marc Webb, I respect a lot as a director, and of course has the most appropriate name.
You're listening to the Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. We kind of didn't do that before Thaddeus went going on that one, so we wanted to.
Thaddeus, get going? No.
But if you didn't realize, well, you started with the Spider-Man music, and I just can't contain myself.
You just can't contain yourself. We're also on iHeartRadio.com,
It's
keyword
true.
1190 AM.
And if you can't contain yourself, you can call us.
Yes.
Or text us, or tweet us.
214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190. You can get through to our phone. There might be a few lines still open.
Indeed.
Perhaps.
All
We'll
right,
have to
there we
check.
Now,
But it's good stuff.
Now, I actually was watching PBS, as I normally do, because it's one of the only channels I can get on broadcast television that has... Oh, stop laughing!
Sorry, the way
Do
you
you
put
also
that
have
was
the-
just really funny.
Do you also have the tote bag?
Tune in to
No.
UHF.
All
I
right.
love Weird Al.
No, we're moving past this. We're moving past
It's
this
true.
now.
So, on PBS...
Emma Garfield.
Whoa.
Hang on a second. Back up.
Did we just
back
miss
up.
a celebrity marriage that I don't know about? I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
Emma Garfield. All
See,
right.
this is called Ben's brain is working faster than his mouth is.
So
No, that's never the case.
So other wonderful actors in this movie include the lovely and talented Emma Stone.
Absolutely love her, by the way.
Who played brilliant. Also another woman of
plays-
incredible comedic timing.
Absolutely.
And she's playing...
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy.
See, I didn't mess up that
Right.
one. I didn't say Mary Jane Stacy.
Or you didn't
Against-
say
that's true.
Spider-Man Stacy or...
Spider Stone and Emma
I'm
Garfield.
never going to live this
No,
down.
you're
This is
not.
horrible.
Andrew Webb.
So we've got some special audio?
Yes,
Is that right?
I was able to record some bits from Charlie Rose, who had Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, and Marc Webb, the director of the film,
Yes.
on, and we're going to be playing some clips and getting a little insight into the film before it opens this Tuesday. So the first question is, with the Sam Raimi trilogy, is I guess it's 4 films now, so it's a series of films.
Well, but this is sort of a
Yeah, this isn't really a
This is a
continuation.
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
certainly.
he prefaced it with, hey, the previous series earned $1.4 billion total and counting. Is it intimidating to you walking in and taking on this mantle?
My personal answer to this question is no.
All
no,
right.
it is
Well,
not.
Let's see
But
what he
we'll
says.
see what they say.
Let's see what he says.
It was intimidating, but those numbers are abstract.
Yeah.
Really, you know what I mean? It's hard to calculate that, and I think I was just it was terrifying and exhilarating and all the things that you would imagine it would be, but you can't really think about that on a day-to-day basis. You just got to think about the story and like putting it together, because as soon as it happened, we had to, we had a start date. We had to get to work on the script and find the cast, and it became really about just breaking it down into tiny little tasks. And
So
like,
you
to
weren't
think
intimidated.
about it.
You simply were challenged and...
Intimidated, terrified is more the word. We were just on the Empire State Building. We were at the top of, not the observatory deck, but like the 103rd story, where there's this little pony wall, and you look over it, and there's this sense of terror you get, but there's also exhilaration and a feeling of, strange feelings of curiosity, and it was a combination of a lot of things. And I think that sense of terror and that sense of excitement, they often walk hand in hand together, and that's really what it was like. But you got to excuse yourself from that and just get down to the rudimentary basics of making a movie.
So essentially, you've got to be, professional enough to okay, I'm focusing on this singular piece of work without worrying about what Sam Raimi did 10 years ago, and just focusing on the film itself.
And it speaks to his professionalism and also arguably his wisdom as a director these days. But it's and again, this is my prefaced reason for saying no. There's an older adage of well, how do you eat a whale? And the answer is one bite at a time. And so ultimately that's what he's saying is you break it down and you go, yes, there are all these other things. There are lots of numbers and figures and statistics people can throw at you at anything. And whether you're making a movie or not, just about anything in life people can throw at you, and it can become overwhelming. And the trick to helping handle that is to realize that any task, big or small, is ultimately just taking a series of steps.
Right.
So,
well, and I think part of that also, the reasoning for asking that question is, what do you feel in regards to what you're doing? How is that going to compare to Sam Raimi's? And you can't really think in that context especially when you're doing
will come
a creative
after it's
work.
already in the theater.
Sure,
right.
and it's an issue of history is going to make its own decision,
right.
but it's not necessarily something that you're going to be able to control. And as a director and as any sort of creative artist, you have to take what you do and allow it to stand alone, as opposed to sit there and criticize yourself and compare it to something that's come before that's of a similar nature.
That will absolutely kill from regularly. Marc Webb comes from the world of music videos and things, and also having a little background in that myself. When dealing with that and dealing with it day in, day out, it really is a situation where, and again, this is something that I truly believe can be applied to just about anything you do in life. That comparison, it's so quick and easy to get wrapped up in the comparatives that you can both overwhelm yourself and also incapacitate yourself.
And you end up scuttling your own project.
And you end up just destroying any momentum you have, or sometimes just don't get anything done altogether, which is the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish when accomplishing tasks or goals.
Now, the next question that was posed to Mark was, what was his approach about, possibly doing a more real of a Spider-Man story?
Well, yeah, they didn't really come with a plan. I think that if you look at Spider-Man, it's different than, say, Harry Potter that has a closed canon. Spider-Man has 50 years, as you say, 50 years of comics. There's a lot of different inflections of the characters, a lot of different writers and illustrators that come along. And there are parts of the story that I was genuinely curious about that hadn't been explored cinematically before. There was, Peter Parker's parents, which is really the starting point. And that moment for me that defined the movie and the character was the moment he was left behind by his parents when he was, 7 years old, which to me is more important than the spider bite even. So I started with that, and then there's the Gwen Stacy saga, which in the comics is one of the most famous and interesting and at times controversial pieces of comic lore in all of Marvel, and especially in Spider-Man. And there's Kirk Connors and the Lizard. And then in terms of tonality, I wanted to... Tone is a very difficult thing to discuss because it means different things to different people. But I would say I was trying to find something more naturalistic and grounded, both physically and emotionally.
That's the real X factor that really hasn't been, and he said before, is the parents' angle of Spider-Man. And I'm kind of intrigued to see how he's going to handle it. Because, they did a Spider-Man story in the early 90s where supposedly his parents came back. They were agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm kind of I'd like to kind of know how they're going to treat that, because like he said, it's never been done cinematically.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm interested in the movie altogether, and obviously things that are seen in the trailers, so not to give any spoilers and stuff away. But there's the aspect of Spider-Man and things that happen within the comic book series where there's, I feel there's two relatively slightly varied versions of Spider-Man. One where the shooting the webs is like a natural phenomenon within him, and others where it's a manufactured device, and in this one it's going for manufactured device.
To me, that's more true to the comic. When I saw that in the Tobey Maguire film,
the first one's good.
One was good.
Don't spit on the first one.
I'm so spitting on the first one.
Or I'd say the first one's good. It's a great origin story.
I'm not spitting on the movie. I'm spitting on Tobey Maguire because I just didn't like him as Peter Parker. No, he wasn't.
He was great.
See, one thing that I'm really interested to see in the Amazing Spider-Man is it's always a fine line to tread in comic book-based movies that it's so easy to get bogged down in exposition because origin stories for superheroes are so important and so critical to the ongoing story, but you've only got 120 minutes.
Yeah.
And like we saw with when we did Superman versus the Elite, they spent about 40-something minutes on exposition, and it dragged on,
minutes.
and you just can't do that.
Right.
And I'm certainly looking forward to. I'm sure they didn't do that in this film.
No,
I'm sure that's one of the great things
but
about
I'm interested
Avengers.
to see. You kind of have to pick and choose, and it'll be interesting to see what he picks and chooses.
That's one of the great things about Avengers is that obviously you had all your exposition in all the ancillary movies before you even got to Avengers.
Relatively, yeah.
That was kind of a favor, I guess, that Joss Whedon got on that one.
That's right.
Just a little bit.
Now, next up, we're going to be talking Andrew Garfield's take on the character of Peter Parker. I think
this will be good.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting
Indeed.
to really hear from the man himself who's playing Peter Parker, who grew up reading Spider-Man. It's going to be really cool. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. We will be right back.
It's the Nerd Show on 1190 AM.
Oh, you got to love that. Hey, my mic's on.
It's true.
Where'd the music go?
Oh, that was
Where
drastic.
it's and
we
cut.
had about
You're
5
welcome.
seconds of police squad.
You're welcome. That's all we could afford.
That's all they'll let us have.
That's okay.
That's fine. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Doing a great job, Corey.
They only
Thumbs up
lasted-
over here.
they only
We're
lasted-
You're doing
struggling in here
great.
tonight.
That's right.
They only Police Squad only lasted like 5 episodes.
Yeah, so it was
there you go.
apropos.
You're listening to The
Surely.
Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. You can stream us live online, iHeartRadio.com, keyword 1190 AM, Dallas, Fort Worth. We're
Share
talking
it amongst your friends.
Share it amongst your friends. You can go to thenerdshowonline.com. You can click there to listen live because it's the cool thing to do. It's the cool thing.
It is.
All the kids are doing
All the
it.
kids are
And
doing
it's
it.
nationwide, coast to coast.
Coast to coast. So California, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, or
Even Peoria.
Maine. Nice, dude.
What about Shermer, Illinois?
I bet it's there too.
I don't think it exists.
Yeah, maybe. There's a Normal, Illinois.
There is.
Spider-Man!
Spider-Man. All right.
This lesson in geography brought to you by Gwen and Thaddeus.
That's right.
If you don't own a globe or a map, we'll get you where you need to go.
Talking Spider-Man and
Like back to this Spider-Man
back to
segment.
Spider-Man again. Andrew Garfield, of course, was on Charlierose on PBS just this past week, and here is his take on the character of Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
50 years of history.
Yeah.
And, well, no, it is 50 years of history.
Yeah.
And I think the wonderful thing about taking on the next chapter of the legacy of what Stan Lee gave us is that you have a very, very solid point to start from, which was those first comics, and then you have a lot of freedom to play because it has to be new, it has to be unique, and it has to be personal. Otherwise, why? So for me, he was always a kid who had a heroic impulse before he was a hero, and felt stronger on the inside than he was on the outside, and wanted to do what was right, but didn't have the authority or the power to do anything about it. And then he's that rare superhero and that rare kid, that rare person that when he gets power, he doesn't let it corrupt him, and he actually uses it positively. So he is just a good kid, really, ultimately, and he's an everyman.
That's a very interesting take that I think that Stan Lee did back in the 60s, is you're taking a teenage character, and he's not a sidekick. He's thrust into the limelight as the main character of a book.
Right.
And that's something that was revolutionary back in the day. And then, he is an everyman. Yes. He does, resemble New York in a way.
Well, all heroes, arguably, the archetype of all heroes, and rather than anti-heroes, is that they have to sort of fulfill that everyman role. That's kind of, in movies and stuff, a lot of actors will talk about, enjoying playing villains and things like that, because for a long time, I like that in more modern movies as the media continues to progress and we all develop a greater, more sophisticated understanding of film grammar and stuff, I find that protagonists are becoming more well-rounded. But if you go back into the 80s, 70s, 60s, stuff like that, a lot of your protagonists are pretty, they're very accessible everyman characters,
right,
versus your villains, which gets to do crazy and horrible things, which is a lot more fun to do as an actor than not. So I'm very interested because of seeing his previous work, all the different subtleties and different tones that Andrew Garfield's going to be able to bring to this version of Peter Parker, his take on the whole system.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point because they go on to say is body language. It plays a very large part in especially Emma and Andrew both remarked that it takes there's a certain degree of physicality to conveying being teenagers as well as playing these characters as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I think something else to note is, as far as body language goes, I mean, when you're playing a character that's completely masked, I mean, that's all you have in a lot of
pretty
those
much
scenes.
pantomime.
Yeah, and so that's always really impressive to see actors, because you really have to take yourself outside of your box for that.
He can talk, of course. He can talk through the costume itself, but a lot of his actions have to be exaggerated because there is no facial expression.
You have no face to do. I mean, that's really also kind of a classical theater idea also, because when you're performing in a large auditorium, most people aren't going to get to see your face. So you really have to kind of exaggerate everything you do. Of course, on film, you're not going to be at a distance. Yeah. Right. So you do have to do a bit more subtlety.
Right.
But so it'll be interesting.
This will be exciting. I'm also very interested. For me, the character of Spider-Man, something that not just the fact that he's a teenager put into the starring role, as it were, but for me also in the books as part of the canon, I find it interesting that as a character, part of how he sort of comes to form is in making mistakes, which is part of being an adolescent and growing up, and ultimately we do it our entire lives, since none of us are perfect.
Except for you.
Well, it's interesting you bring up that point, because the next question asked of Andrew is, his drive for identity and dealing with his abandonment issues in regards to his parents. So let's go ahead and listen to that clip right now.
Absolutely, and as Mark was saying, that is completely defining the fact that he was abandoned, and it defines his relationships after that, and it ultimately leads to him being a father. The fact that he was left by his father, searching for his father, created a hole in him that he's desperate to fill, but he has to fill it himself ultimately. And there's no accident that he becomes a father to a whole city. There's something beautiful in that, because he has that empathy for being an underdog and being unsupported. It's kind of a beautiful, journey.
So I'm actually real interested in hearing that aspect and his, delving more into the psyche of the character.
Right.
Because you really didn't. I mean, yes, you did in Sam Raimi. In the first film, you did delve a little bit into it, but not too terribly much. Not like this. It seems it's focused a lot more on the parents than it is the circumstances for which he becomes Spider-Man.
Right. In Sam Raimi's version, they go a lot more literal with aspects of the origin story. Like in the books, like he goes to like an amateur wrestling match with a cash prize, and then lets a dude kind of gets stuck a little bit or offended, and lets a guy who was robbing the cash prize from the facility go, even though he had the power to stop him, and then that leads to basically the demise of Uncle Ben, unfortunately. And so from there, and that's again, it's about part of what I like about Spider-Man personally as a character in the comics and in the movies when they get into that, is the fact that again it's about in part that we all make mistakes and we have to learn from them, and about consequences and how they affect our lives and help shape us as human beings. And so it sounds like this is, again, the exploration is focusing more on the parental aspect and his abandonment issues.
Right.
But again, it's still cause and effect of how do these things shape us, and how do we take negative circumstances and do our best to play the hand we're dealt, and put ourselves going forward in a positive direction.
With the emphasis on his parents in this film, I'm wondering how the whole, because they're obviously going to be downplaying the role that he has with his uncle, possibly.
Right. Well, Martin Sheen's in it, and
Sally Field
Ben
as Aunt May.
Yeah, so it's I think
big,
that's going to be
big actors.
Yeah. So I think that role is going to be there. I just don't think I don't think they're going to take it in the literal sense as the book with Uncle Ben's. I don't know. I genuinely don't know if they're going to go there or not. My suspicion is they probably won't get there. I think it's going to be more about the other aspect, the parental abandonment aspects of the film, and those
fundamentally changing the structure of his origin by doing this, by taking the focus off the death of his uncle, forcing him to be a hero, or I guess compelling him to be a hero versus his drive to what happened to his parents.
Right.
That could be possible. That could be uncharted territory.
And I like how I don't know that it's necessarily completely uncharted. I like how he brought up the idea of kind of becoming a father figure, not just in his own life, but also for the city as a whole. I mean, if you think about it, that's something we've seen with Batman before, too.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and it's not completely uncharted, but it's just a different take on it.
Right. It's also something that I appreciate about a Batman story and why I'm drawn to that. Arguably, Superman also not. It's sort of a mix between death of parents and also abandonment,
a little bit,
in a way. So I mean, there's obviously a lot of parallels we can draw to a lot of our favorite comic book characters, or at least certainly the most prominent ones. And these are obviously reasons in part to why they are so prominent and prevalent in media, culture, and our lives.
Oh, very much so. Now, next up, Charlie asked Emma, what was it like being approached in order to play the film, and were you necessarily up for Mary Jane first?
I had met Laura Ziskin, who's one of our incredible producers, very early on, and we had talked about Mary Jane before they had written the script. Yeah. And when they came back around, months later, and said I'd be auditioning for Gwen, or asked me if I would audition for Gwen, I didn't know anything about the Gwen Stacy saga because I didn't grow up reading the comic books. So when I went and read and learned the story, I don't know if you know her whole history, but it's stunning and so incredibly tragic and just wild. It blew me away, and I thought, all right, well, if they're going to do this movie is probably going to be pretty incredible.
Now, before you guys dive into this one, I want to play the second one here because she's then asked, well, if you know the fate of your character, does that give you very much to work with? So that's this next question.
It gives you so much to work with, and I think that Gwen is always so aware of her mortality because her father's in the face of death all the time. Peter's in the face of death. So even knowing how it ends up as an actor, because a lot of people ask, knowing how she goes, does that affect performance? And I think she's just always so surrounded by death that it's it was fascinating.
I'm getting the feeling that Gwen Stacy's going to be around for a possible Spider-Man trilogy. And we'll be introduced to, the Green Goblin later on, obviously, because he's involved with her. Spoiler alert! Essentially her death.
Right.
In
which
the books.
I think they did this long enough ago in the comic books that it's not that big a spoiler.
No, but there might be people out there.
By the way, Vader is Luke's father.
The Titanic sinks at the end of the movie.
The Titanic sinks at the end of the movie. Yeah.
We just ruined everything for you, Ben.
Yeah. Dude, I got to take a second. Let's go ahead and I got to reflect on this, on these revelations that I've just heard. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. Next up, we're going to be looking over Before Watchmen. We have 4 issues that we're going to be looking at, so we'll be reviewing those as part of Keith's Comics Weekly Comic Book Review. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM.
All wings report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
It's the Nerd Show.
Red October standing by.
Nice, dude. Yeah, you got to get the little Family Guy thing in there.
That's right. Red 50 standing by.
Red 50. You remember that bit on Independence Day? It's like Randy Quaid, Eagle 20, reporting in. I'm like, dude, there's 20 of you in the wing? That's terrible.
There were plenty of things wrong with that movie.
They're thinking about re-releasing that?
Yeah, we covered that. In 3D, I think.
Oh,
yeah, they're just remaking it in 3D.
Yep.
It'll be good for the kids. Brett Spiner has a good role.
Yeah, that's the saving grace. There you go.
It's fun. Yep. It's fun. It's just not. I don't need to go and watch it again.
No.
But
That's right.
But comic book reviews.
You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM and streaming online, iHeartRadio.com. You can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Glenn's over there right now at the moment on Facebook and Twitter, so you can go ahead and leave him a message, and he'll read it live on the air for us, and we'll answer your questions.
If you wish, yes.
Or silently, and we'll just laugh amongst ourselves.
That's
it happens
right.
fairly regularly.
Now, this week's weekly comic book review brought to you by Keith's Comics. Keith's Comics located on Mockingbird Lane between 75 and Greenville Avenue over there in North Dallas.
It's good stuff.
Also,
Denton on the Square.
More Fun Comics and Games in Denton.
More Fun Comics and Games
Lancaster.
in Denton. There's one in Lancaster. More Fun Comics and Games in Lancaster. And, of course,
Keith's is everywhere.
Keith's Comics, North Dallas, Trinity Mills, and Midway Road. And that's the one I go to. So if you see me walk in there, just say, hey, it's Ben from the Nerd Show. And I'll be like, yeah, it is.
I believe
he'll be the gentleman surrounded by all the ladies.
All the ladies
on the covers of the various comic books that he's purchased.
Dude, that's not cool. No, we're actually looking at the.
What's not cool about having comic books full of ladies?
He's got a point there, Ben.
Okay, well, I'll reflect on that later.
Or comic books full of comic book characters in general.
Or comic books full of Watchmen.
Before Watchmen, this was a big deal. Of course, Alan Moore was up in arms. Of course, when is he not up in arms?
Yeah, he's kind of. I'd like to know more about what he said, but I've been too lazy to actually check.
No, you're not missing much. I call him.
Is he just ranting?
Used to be weird, crazy guy with crazy hair, and now he looks more like Gandalf. It's weird.
Well, because the crazy hair turned gray
and the beard. Yeah, He's thinking that nothing really needs to be expanded upon Watchmen because when he wrote Watchmen, it was intended as a full by itself standalone piece of work.
Exactly.
And he thinks DC's attempt to write prequel stories, which are right now Nightowl, Silkspectre, Comedian, and what's the one you have, Glenn?
I have the Minutemen.
Minutemen. Now, these 4 issues, Nightowl just came out just this past Wednesday. I got a chance to read it. These books, I'm kind of lukewarm on them right now because obviously they're the first issues in each of their 4 or 6 issue arcs.
And why lukewarm?
I'm on the fence because Watchmen was such a complete work that I'm hesitant that they're doing anything. Obviously, it's a ploy that DC is putting out to get more money because of the Watchmen brand name. I don't know why they didn't have this idea when the movie came out a couple years back, because it would have been great marketing timing for it to happen that way. Or maybe it just took this much time to get all the heavy hitters together, because you look at some of these writers.
That's
J. Michael Straczynski over there on Nightowl. You've got Darwin Cook over here on Minutemen. And Silkspectre. And the comedian is...
Brian... You can't pronounce his last name.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, you're right. You can't. All right. Well, and that's ironically, I think the comedian is probably the best book out of all of them right
Brian
now.
Azzarello. I was trying to get Ben to say it. I'm sorry. Azzarello.
No, you're supposed to help me over here.
Oh no, I'm trying to. It's more fun if I don't.
Oh, thanks.
It's okay.
Thanks. I'll just paddle over here in
I
my
do it with love. No, you're
life
fine.
preserver. Whatever.
You're fine.
One thing that I want to say about the books themselves, there are some really great artistic things that they're doing with them, because all of these they're all period pieces, and they do a lot of interesting things. Like in the comedian, they do a lot of like dichromatic film sort of things where they focus on blue and green or red and orange. Like it's
very cinematic.
Yeah, it has a very kind of 60s film sort of look to it, which I really appreciated. And in the Minutemen, obviously, the Minutemen story takes place kind of in the 30s,
right?
So they do some fun things where they really make everything very monochrome, very kind of grayscale, and they accentuate things just with one color here and there.
Darwin Cook is the one drawing, so there's a lot of Justice League, New Frontier. There, I mean, it's pretty much that artwork is what Minutemen is, and you were actually remarking. Reading it earlier, that you hear a specific voice when you read the dialogue.
Yeah, I really kind of get a particular 20s, 30s New York detective sort of drama on there, where they talk real fast with their pants up real high.
One of the scenes in the book is a couple guys are holed up in a warehouse, and the cops are outside.
It's all in grayscale,
right,
and they're all like, "Cops, what a laugh! They're the least of our worries. Did you see what that kook did to Tony and little Bob?"
Oh, no, not Little Bob.
Not Little Bob, that's right.
Maybe we should surrender to the cops and fry for murder. Don't be an idiot. There has to be a way out of here.
That's right, Gumshoes.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
Well, Buffle.
On Campbell's Radio Network. No, I have no idea.
That's
stuff up.
yeah,
radio show,
on the Kraft macaroni something or other.
you get a very golden age feel when you read
Definitely.
Yeah.
and it's kind of a nice change of pace, really, to kind of go back to that a little bit.
It's fun. I like that as a whole, as a collection. I really appreciate that. That's what they're doing. Is they are kind of delving a bit atmospherically into the different time periods that some of these stories are taking place in,
right.
and the fact that Watchmen as its own work, the graphic novel, which is brilliant. If you haven't checked it out, I don't know a whole lot of people who haven't at this point. It really it's about these things happening over time and stuff. And I have a certain appreciation for Alan Moore being angry about it and being like, no, this is my. It's kind of like. I mean, for all intents and purposes, these books are like fan fiction. Now, fan fiction written from the standpoint of incredible,
very professional level.
Amateur work done by professionals.
Yeah, but conceptually, it's basically people taking something like anything else, like the Star Trek universe, the Star Wars universe, anything, and being like, well, here's what happens, after the Death Star explodes, yay! And so this is. It's a similar kind of thing. They're going back and just fleshing out things. But the book itself, I mean, that's part of its brilliance, and it's certainly for its time, part of what makes it groundbreaking is its self-contained universe and how you get hints and aspects into the backgrounds of some of these characters and what's going on. But ultimately, it's left unexplained. You're just dropped into this world, and here are these relationships. And like in real life, it's these relationships have history and a past, and sometimes you learn more or less about people and their motivations from getting into that. And so this kind of breaks that by going back and saying, here's where everybody came from. Here's, eventually, obviously, the only way you can really take it is ultimately you can lead up into the book. And so eventually that's where you go. Otherwise you break it completely. And so I'm interested so far in the beginning. And that's why I'm really, really curious with your comment about you're on the fence, you're lukewarm. So obviously some things are working for you and others aren't. So I'm more curious what's working for you and what isn't.
To me, Night Owls is a little bit redundant because we already know that the newer Night Owl takes over for the old one. It's just showing that process, and I'm like, okay, it's nice to kind of know this blow by blow, but I really don't need to.
Right. So for you, it's the redundancy. It's like having read the book and then immediately watching the movie, and you go, okay, I already understand what's going to happen.
Yeah, well,
okay, I get it. That's fair.
It's not. Well, I'm always a big proponent of watching the movie and then reading the book.
I think we've had some of that discussion
because,
before.
You get more of an extended cut that way, really, if you put it in
Of course, the
movie
issue with comic books and movies is that when you have something based on a comic book, the movie usually isn't considered canon.
Correct.
So you can't necessarily, cross.
I mean, it's a good source material to draw on.
Sure,
but
no, I didn't mean literal. I meant conceptually as many people read the book, and then that is the more common thing to do. I have made the choice specifically to do the opposite. Ben, you are also a proponent. So that's what you're saying is the redundancy of Night Owl. Is just,
honestly, the story that I like the best right now out of the 4 books is Silkspectre. I know you had some issues with Silkspectre.
Glenn and I talked about this a little bit off the air.
I just found it to be a little thinner than I would like it to be. I think on the whole, DC just has a really hard time trying to figure out where their female heroes really fit into their stories.
They've had some general news stories or some other stuff about that too, haven't they? Just DC mishandling female characters.
Yeah. So it might just be an ongoing issue.
I would say yay on Minutemen, Comedian, and Silkspectre, and Night Owl. Yeah, if you got time.
Definitely yay on Comedian.
Yay on
like
Comedian. Yay on Comedian.
And
Minutemen. Just check them out if you like
it. Do it.
Yep. There you go. That's weekly comic book review brought to you by Keith's Comics. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter. Yep. You're listening to the Nerd Show here on 1190 AM.
The Nerd Show is a production of Nerdville Entertainment. All rights reserved.